Bibbidi bop. Hello, guys. Why am I bibbidi bopping? I don't know why I'm bibbidi bopping, but welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 159. And yeah, we're here. And we're lively. We're ready to go. And we're fist pumping the air. Why? I don't know. But I'm feeling good as of right now. So we're going to go with it, and we're just going to have a good episode, and yeah, we're going to have a good time, hopefully, right? I'm doing this before the guest actually comes on, so I can't predict, but from what I gather from her, she seems like a sweet person, and we're going to have a good time. So it's late at night. We're going to just jump into this, and let's have a real good conversation and hopefully help somebody out there. Okay, guys. See you in a second. Okay, guys, we are back again. A little later for me. I usually don't do these this late, but special guest, and I'm happy we're doing it. And I met her again. She's another pod matcher. I don't remember. I reached out to her. I read some of her story, and she's been through some things, and she's doing some real positive stuff with her life currently, and I'm very happy for her. Just wanted to talk. So you want to introduce yourself and tell us your name, a little about yourself?
Sure. My name is Shoba Rao, and I live in California. And I am a three-time cancer survivor and a kidney transplant recipient. I have had my kidney for 25 years now, still going strong. But in between, in the past 18 years, I got cancer 3 times. So that is where my health hurdles happened. And I originally come from India. I moved to the US around 23 years back. So my kidney transplant actually happened in India when I was quite young. And other than this, in my other life, my professional life, I am director of manufacturing in a firm, and I have been in the semiconductor industry for quite a while, and I'm an electrical engineer.
Wow, good for you. Now, what was the reason for the move from India to here?
Oh, well, that's simple. My boyfriend was here at that time. He had already moved from India. He was working here, and we got married, and I moved to Bay Area.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well,
Mm-hmm.
at least you had a real reason. I thought maybe it was for your health reasons, but
No, at that time, okay. At that time when I moved to India, I was thinking, okay, we might be in the US for maybe 10 years, and I wanted to go back. So the reason I'm here till now and became even a US citizen is for health reasons. I can say that.
Okay. So yeah, it wasn't
Because once I got the cancer the first time, and I got to see how it was, healthcare was in US. It's not like it's bad in India. It's just over time I felt comfortable here, and I thought, okay, maybe I should be here, and which actually helped. I got 2 more cancers after that, and the last one was a very aggressive one, and for which I think the early detection and the way things moved on, it helped being in US for that.
Sure, yeah. So it wasn't your initial thought to stay here, but because
Mm-hmm.
comfort zone, doctors, and whatever
Mm-hmm.
else, it worked out where you actually had to
Mm-hmm.
stay. So, yeah. I mean, maybe you end up being in the right place at the right time, and somebody was looking out for you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, I'm happy. Well, I'm happy you're still around. Obviously, it's
Me too.
yeah,
Happy to be alive.
absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, before you ever came across of actually having cancer, did you have any kind of preconceived notions, and what you heard about cancer? Like, did you have
Okay.
much
Okay,
knowledge of
yeah.
it?
So maybe I can recount my story here.
Sure.
So when I was in India, somewhere at the age of when I was like 22 years old, I was diagnosed with kidney failure. And my mom donated one of her kidneys to me. And so at the age of 23, I got a kidney transplant. And I moved after a couple of years after that, in 98 is when I got my transplant. I moved to the US after that.
Okay.
So when you get a kidney transplant, you are on immune suppression medication. So I'm on steroids, and I've been taking immune suppressing medication till now every single day for 25 years, because that's the only way you can ensure that your kidney doesn't get rejected by your body.
Right, right.
So when they give the immune suppression, they do say you're prone for cancer. It's possible, but but still, it was never in my mind anywhere. At the age of 30s, you feel you're invincible. Nothing can come, and nothing can do anything to you in 20s,
Right, for sure.
especially. So I never thought about cancer at all. And so one day, it was like 7 years after my transplant, and I had a symptom. I saw blood, and when I went to my doctor, luckily I had a very good doctor, a nephrologist, a kidney doctor who could help me with it. And so he immediately did a lot of CT scans and stuff, and then we did a scope as well, and then they said, "Oh, looks like there's a tumor," and it was in one of my old kidneys. Basically, when they do a transplant, they leave your original two kidneys behind and they put one transplanted kidney. So I had three kidneys at that time, right? Two of my own and my mom's kidney. My kidneys were not working. So the first cancer came in that kidney, ureter, just came out of the blue. And so I had a massive surgery for that. I still remember the day when I learned about the diagnosis. I was in the doctor's office, and my last name is Rao. It ends with Rao. So I was in the doctor's office. The pathologist's name was also Rao. So
Okay.
I was visiting my doctor, and the assistant came in and she said, "Oh, doctor, you have a call from Rao." I was like, "What? Oh, I'm right here. What is she talking about?" And then we laughed about it. And then he went, attended the call, and came back. And that's when he told the news to us that it's cancerous. It takes time to process the first time when you get diagnosed with cancer. And I still remember crying in our cars when we went home that day, me and my husband.
Yeah, because
But after,
some people who get
yeah,
cancer because they don't know so much about it, they automatically assume it's a death sentence, and it's not always the case because
yes,
a lot of
yes,
people can
exactly.
pull through.
So the thing is, I think naivety helps to some extent there. And so I was not too naive, I would say, but I knew it was bad. I knew, and my immediate thought process was death, actually, death sentence. But then, since they said it was in my old kidney, I was like, anyway, it's in my old kidney, it is not useful anyway. I think if they remove that, it should be fine.
Yeah.
But then it was a complicated surgery. After all the surgery was done, the doctor said, "Yeah, maybe now you have to visit the surgeon." He said, "You have to visit an oncologist." I was like, "Why?" And he said, "I think she might ask you to do some chemotherapy and stuff." Oh, okay. Is that the one where they lose their hair? Then
Yeah.
that's how
Right.
bad it was.
Right. Right.
And so it took us a while to assimilate everything. And from that day, fear starts creeping in. You start living in fear. And when I met the oncologist, and okay, there was a lot of things. She consulted with other doctors at Stanford, and finally they gave me a chemotherapy because I was young. They wanted to be very aggressive.
Sure.
Uh, but one thing personally for me, I realized early on, yeah, there is that fear. The fear is always there in the back of my mind. But at the same time, the only way to move on in life is to literally move on and live for that day. So I forced myself, and I think over the years, I am right now at a place where I'm peaceful about it, where I can talk about it. I mean, today, when I told you about the scenario at the doctor's office or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
there was a time when I would be crying all the time whenever I talk about it, right?
Right.
now I am at a place where I'm able to handle it. I'm able to because I have processed it over time. And of course, getting two more cancers kind of makes you get used to it, I guess.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
No.
Um,
Well, I mean, there probably is something to that, but you learn a lot from bad
yes,
things.
you
Like
do.
you don't. I mean, when everything goes your way, that's how you kind of you start to lose reality, and what is what. And when bad things happen, you really can learn from them, and you really can figure out what kind of person you are, and what's deep inside you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you figure out
Yeah,
like
I
how
think
strong you are.
true. I think hardship teaches you life lessons.
Yeah.
Compared to someone who has not faced any hurdles in life, I think people like us who have faced hurdles, we do learn a lot of life lessons. And personally, for me, I learned a lot just because of all that I have gone through. I'm a totally different person now compared to where I was when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I would say I have learned what life is about. I have become maybe a little bit more spiritual, and I just live for today. And I know happiness is a path, it is not my destination. It's all how I take it, how I take my life, and how I live with it. And that has helped me.
Yeah. I talk about this a lot more recently about good health days. Now, you know this better than any because, you've had some really bad health days,
Mm-hmm,
but I even
mm-hmm,
attribute it to me with vision. So like I told you, I'm legally blind. I can
mm-hmm,
see some,
mm-hmm,
but one eye is just colors and motions and one is okay. I can see, like, I know what you look like. I can see things, but I can't drive and whatever. But I have certain days where my eyes is very sensitive to light and it's much blurrier than what it is today, like this current day right
mm-hmm,
now. And
mm-hmm,
I sometimes I will, when I'm in my fog, not just mentally, but in my visual fog, I will sit there and pray or think, and I'm just like, I just want to have a good vision day. Give me a good vision day. And so then I get a good vision day, and for some reason, I'm still finding ways not to be happy. And so what I've tried to train myself now is like when I'm having good health days, not just visually, but any chronic pain or anything I'm having, I try to be more assertive and try to get things done, be more productive and get dishes done and do things because I know when I'm having bad eye days, it also takes me down with my mental health and I know I'm not as productive. So I'm trying to appreciate all the good days I have because I know there is a chance that tomorrow may not be one. And I'm sure
yes.
you've been through that. I mean, you've had that
Oh
same
yeah. Oh
mindset.
yeah. And people, cancer survivors. I mean, there are people who live with cancer when the cancer is stable to some extent. I am a survivor right now. I'm in remission. But for people like us, every time it's like that, right? Every day is a day. The way I look at it right now, any problem in my life, any problem, it could be the first question I always ask is it a matter of life and death? If it is not, I'm not worrying about it.
Yeah,
It should not affect me.
for
So
sure.
that's what cancer has taught me, right? And so, as you said, a good health day. If you have, if today you live for today, and today is good, be happy. Just live it to the fullest extent possible. That's my motto right now. That's all I think about.
That's awesome.
And especially for cancer patients, we have something called scan. We call it scanxiety, this anxiety over scans, because that's when you follow up to see if there is any cancer that has come back.
Mm-hmm.
And when so for me, it's been 18 years. So in 18 years, I've always lived my life in segments because initially they screen you every 3 months. Then they move it to every 6 months. Then after 5 years, they say, oh, now we can scan you every 1 year. But for me, after my first cancer, after 7 years, I got the second one. So boom, I went back to every 3 months again. So every 3 months, and then within couple of years, I got my third cancer in my liver, and every one of them came with a huge complicated surgery. So and then I had the liver angiosarcoma, which is one of the rarest of the rare cancers. It occurs in your blood vessels, so it's supposed to be very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And then again you go back to 3 months, right? So whenever I plan anything in my life, I have always planned only in months. If you ask me today, I'm in a better place because I can plan for 8 months now. So or rather, I think 2 months are gone. So maybe for the next 6 months I'll plan, and I don't plan beyond that. I always wait for the scan to tell me everything is okay before I plan anything in my life.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a different way of living, but as going back to what you said, for you it's the good vision day, right?
Yeah.
So for you it's like that day is a good vision day,
Mm-hmm.
and you do what you have to do that day. So you are looking for a good health day, a good vision day every time,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It lifts my spirit up. It just makes me feel like I can smile a little better. It gives me more confidence. And I know that, like, okay, today's going to be a good day. And it doesn't mean everything's going to be okay, because I know anything can happen, but I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to be able to plan for what I can plan for. And I'm just like, okay, this is what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
And again, I've had to go through a lot of, and I think this would attribute to with your cancer, the same thing, where it's like, I'm sure after the second one, you probably were like, oh my God, again. But even after the
yeah.
third one, you probably felt the same way, but you were able to recover quicker. Mentally, I mean, like you were able to kind of deal with it
Mm-hmm.
and go, okay, what did I do with the first time? What did I do the second time? Okay, I'm more prepared for this now. Do I want to go through this? No. Is this going to suck? Yes. Am I going to be sad about it? Yes. Is this going to hurt? And so on and so on. Yes. But can I get through it? Yes, I've already done it. And that's how I look at it. Like, I know, like, at my work, I'm not saying there's never a chance where it could get worse than it's always been. Sure, there's always that. But what I'm seeing here and going on past history, I know I can get through this, and I'm going to. I just have to, grab myself metaphorically and just shake myself and say, all right, let's go. Let's prepare
Yeah.
for this. We're
So
going to get out of this.
right. So the two things I personally used to fear most, right? And one I think is fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like when we don't know how it's going to be, and for the first time when you get diagnosed, that's what it is. Oh my God, cancer! It's like huge. Is it going to be death? I mean, how long can I be alive? And all those questions come in. It's the fear of the unknown. The second is fear of suffering. So those are the two things that we have to be mentally prepared for. And fear of the unknown, you cannot be prepared for it. But the way I prepare for it is being my own advocate, because I am the one who has to look after myself.
Mm-hmm.
So if, for example, when I got diagnosed with cancer, the moment I find out what type of cancer, I go research, find out. In fact, I actually found out why I got my kidney failure and cancers. It was because of a particular treatment I took as a child, a herbal treatment. That herb is banned in the US, by the way. I took that for a different disorder, and later on I could connect it's purely scientific, all scientific articles connecting all that, and I showed it to my doctor, and they found like, oh yeah, exactly. And because I was following the symptoms to a T, the failure, the cancer. So that's what I do for the fear of the unknown, is research, make myself understand exactly what I am dealing with, so that I can view it a little bit logically and have my emotions not overpower me too much, right? So that there is some part of me, my logical brain, that can assimilate it and maybe make a plan on what I have to do.
Yeah.
And the fear of suffering we all have. I don't think we can get away with it. So I still do. But then you have to grab what life throws at you, and there is no other way to live. There is one way to live, and that is try to be as positive as possible.
Yeah. And also understanding, like, it's okay to have a setback or to have a bad day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I don't even mean, like, obviously a setback, a huge setback is having cancer again, obviously. But I mean, like, mentally going through it, where you're just like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I don't want to deal with this today. Today I want to cry. Today I want to punch a pillow. Today I just want to sit here in my own, mental filth, and I just want to cry, or I don't want to be productive. I don't want to do anything. But the good thing is when you used to do that, it would take a long time for you to get out of it. But now you just needed that day to kind of download all that it needed to download, get it out of you, and then all of a sudden you get out of it, then whatever hours later, the next day, and you're ready for battle. You're ready to fight this off. But it's okay to have days where you
Yeah.
just don't want to deal with it, because who wants to? Who the hell wants to deal with cancer? Like, no
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
does. It's
Yeah.
and again, I don't know, but I know a lot of people who have gone through it, and it's rough, and it's mentally, physically, it's everything, and you have to be prepared for it. And sometimes you just have to you have to scream, you have to get some of this out of you, because you have to make room for more fight. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to just be angry, because it's upsetting. I think sometimes, especially as a guy, sometimes we look at it like it's weak, or something's wrong with me. Like, why am I crying? I'm wasting time just sitting here crying and thinking and whatever. And it's like, no, you need these days. You need a day to yourself to just, get it out and deal with it, because then you're going to be stronger in the end.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're so right. Life is about ups and downs, and there are always good days, there are always bad days, and I have had days where I have been very depressed. And it's easy to say be positive, but in all that positivity, there is going to be days when we don't feel bad, and it's okay. I would say just let it go through you, feel it, and then move on. Be done with it, right? There is no such thing as a rosy life, and everybody has struggles in their life. Every single person, every single human in this world. So we don't have to feel lonely about it, because I think there are a lot. I mean, for example, when you said legally blind, when I spoke to you a while back, I started, being empathetic, right? So I immediately started feeling, oh, wow, how will it be? My brain is already crunching all the data, and I'm trying to see uh, uh, how you might face every day, because I know the problems I have, and I think it is good that you have a channel where you can share problems and how people are facing with it, because I think that's very important. Most often, when we don't hear that, we are in our own shell, and it's very tough for us to come out. And for cancer, for example, we do have support groups, and the main reason for such support groups to be helpful for us is just so that we have people who are with us in that journey together. They understand when you say something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people with any type of us who have gone through hurdles, who have gone through hardships in life, are the ones who can actually understand what you are going through, or what somebody like us who are going through.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, like what you were, I mean, I appreciate what you said, and kind of piggybacking on what you said, like, to take, when you go through those bad days, like, you learn so much from them, and it makes you appreciate the good days that you are having.
hmm
And,
hmm
and then, like I said, doing this podcast, like, I understand how bad life can get, and I've felt alone so many times, and suicidal, and I wanted to
mm
die, and I didn't want to be around, and I felt I was just hanging on by a thread for really dumb reasons, and I shouldn't be here, but I am, and I'm trying to make the best of it, and same with your situation. Like, I hear all you're going through. You're a very kind, sweet person, and it's rough to hear someone so nice just go through anything. And then you just become empathetic, and again, if you're a good person and you care enough, and then that's all it is for
Yep.
me. Like, I wanted to dig deeper. I didn't want to just talk about visually impaired stuff or even disability stuff. Like, I wanted to just find people who have gone through something, they're overcoming it, and just try to help those people, those young versions of you and I who aren't, in a place where we are, where we have been through a lot, and we're not in the beginning of it. We're not just trying to be content and try to just hang on. You and I have seen the depths of hell, but also now have seen the beauty in life, and now we want to help others. But there's a lot of people right now that are going through the beginning stages of whatever, cancer, of visual impairment, of any other thing, homelessness, whatever it is, and they're trying to find like something to just grasp onto, to just live for. And it's very good to be this transparent and share our stories so that those
Yeah.
people don't feel so alone.
Yeah, actually, I used to hesitate sharing my story at all. Forget my story. I don't think anybody among my friends, except for very few close friends who were with me throughout all this.
Mm-hmm.
And since I have had so many over a long span of time, right, all the way from India till now. So there are some friends in India who have seen me through the transplant, but they have not seen what happened to me during cancer. There are some who newer friends who have been here during my time of cancer, but who didn't know what happened before. And I never shared much with people. I was a private person. I am an extrovert, but I was a very, very private person when it came to talking about my disease, talking about cancer or anything. I mean, I volunteer for a cancer foundation. We raise funds, and that I've been volunteering for 17 years. But I never spoke about myself on the stage, not even once. I am the MC. I'm always on the stage in all these events, but not even once, just because I never wanted uh, to share. I somewhere thought nobody is going to understand what I'm going through. Why should I even talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere it changed because when I talk to people, because a lot of people come to me, especially when cancer is everywhere nowadays. So when they see someone diagnosed with cancer, they immediately put me in touch with that person, and I give them some suggestions, some advice on how to go through chemotherapy, and just kind of giving them moral support and maybe some real life support as well, talking about doctors and such. Like in fact, even couple of days back, there was another lady in the East Coast. So she went through a surgery for a cancer similar to my first one. And she called me and I spoke to her a few days back. And her daughter texted yesterday. She said, "You don't know how much you have helped my mom. The fact that she spoke to you has helped her immensely and she's recovering well." And that's exactly the reason why I wrote even the book I was talking to you about earlier. I call it My Race Against Death, just because I think for me personally, it has been a race. It's like, who do I find cancer first, or does it come and find me first? So
Right.
it's like a race against cancer. That's what I call it. I'm always like, I'm one step ahead so far. I've always found you.
Yes.
And and so I opened up just because so many people were approaching. And so I thought, okay, let me write down whatever I can, the lessons I have learned. So even after I published the book, people were saying, "Oh, it's written very matter of factly. You're approaching it like how to." My lessons are like how to tackle not just cancer, actually, any disease. It's just more like subtitles are every single lesson as to like be your own advocate, be empathetic, listen to your body, and like how do you really work towards finding a solution for your disease, um, things like that. And what I realized was maybe I should have covered more of the mental aspects as well. Um,
Sure.
so I think when I'm talking to you now, I'm thinking, huh, maybe I should have written it a little bit more, uh, thinking about putting forth what exactly went through my mind all, when I was going through that. I did put it a little bit, but for me, it was more about helping others how to navigate a disease like this or any disease for that matter. So, yeah, that's my way of serving, my way of helping folks by speaking out loud and clear about what I went through.
Yeah, no, I mean you're doing great. It's so important because yeah, I mean again, we've always gone through those stages though, where we, again, there's whether you're shameful of it or and you don't feel as impactful. You don't think it can do anything because you're still trying to figure it out in your own head. Like, what is this?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you're still embarrassed. Like, oh, I don't, cancer is just one of those words that when you hear it, it hits a certain way where you're like, ugh, like I don't want to tell people I have cancer. And then, you somewhere along the way, you start to share it with a few people. And then, like, I started doing it on here when I started telling my story and started telling really personal things. And the first time I had to kind of like take a couple of days because it was like, oh, I was kind of reliving it. But then the next time I started talking about it with another guy, because sometimes you end up, you have similar conversations with other guests and you have to share some more things. And the second time it was like, oh, it didn't bug me. I didn't have to really think about it anymore. And now you can ask me anything and I'll say it because I'm very comfortable with it. I don't feel embarrassed about any of these things because
Yeah.
I'm confident in it, and I know, like, look, it's what happened to me. It's what I'm current. Some of these things I'm currently going through, but again, I'm considering myself a strong person, and it's able and made me eligible to be able to do something like this to help people, and it's all I ever wanted to do. Is because when people ask me what do you want to do in life, and I never really knew. I went to college for something I didn't care about, journalism. I didn't really want to be a journalist. I hated writing, but I just did it because I wanted to do sports journalism because I like sports. But it was like, I realized I hated that because I wanted to impact and help people. And there's times where I can help people in just daily life, just whatever, help an old person across the street or something. That makes me feel good. But doing something like this where I can talk to other people who have been through something horrific and are still standing. Like, I think inner strength is like one of the most beautiful things.
Mhm.
And it's just like being able to talk to people like you who have just gone through horrific things and they're still going and still find ways to smile and still find ways to appreciate life. It's something we don't value because we're so lost in negativity and just destruction and all these mass shootings and everything around us. And it's like, it's just terrible. That's all you see. And then meanwhile, there are people like you that are doing great things, and it's like they're not highlighted. Like, why not
Mhm.
highlight them? Because you're a survivor. You struggle and you continue to struggle. You still have to have.
That's the unfortunate thing is like we all live in bubbles, I guess.
Right.
So, especially with the advent of social media and the tech, the where we are today in this world, everyone is in a bubble,
Yeah.
and we have to get out of that bubble and listen more.
Well, I talk about my life as a bubble too, because I say, look, like my big thing is like purifying myself of any negative energy. I don't want to. I don't want a dirty
Hmm.
bubble. I want good
Hmm.
energy in my life. I want good vibes. I want
Yeah,
good
yeah.
people in my life. So I don't want a bubble that's all dirty because I don't need negative energy, man. I've seen horrible things in my own personal life. I've been through horrible things, and it's like I don't want to dwell on that. I know it sounds cheesy or whatever, but I'm trying to find true happiness. I'm trying to find ways, even though I'm dealing with anxiety, even though I'm dealing with depression and being visually impaired and chronic pain and all these things, I'm still trying to find happiness. And I don't need anyone else bringing me down because I have obvious things to be sad or angry about. So I don't need you to point them out, or I don't need anyone to just point out other bad things because I'm trying to move forward. And anybody who's dragging me backwards, I'm done. I don't need to deal with it. I just need good people in my life. And that's kind of where I'm at. So, yeah, the bubble analogy is great because, we are all in a kind of a bubble. And sometimes we only
Hmm.
see what is
Of course.
floating around in it. And we have to,
And I
open.
think when you face hardships in life, whatever it could be, everybody finally lands at this stage where, as you said right now, I don't want any negative energy, right? If I'm living life, I want only positive energy. Uh, I have been a strong person before, and of course, things have changed over time, and then there has been ups and downs. But one thing I'm very clear about that is exactly what you said. If I find anybody negative, I say, okay, no, not working. Move on. I'm not going to have any interaction with these type of people.
Right.
I'm very clear about that in my head.
Yeah, exactly. So how long have you been cancer free so far?
So my latest cancer was 2014.
Oh, wow.
So the thing is, my first cancer was in 2005 when I was 30 years old. The second one was when I 37 years old, and then 39. But then at the age of 40, I actually got a huge scare. I, in fact, went through a massive surgery at that time, but then it turned out to be some atypical cells and turned out to be not cancerous, luckily. But still, the surgery I did go through again at 40. So, so I would say after that was in 20, uh, literally Christmas 2015, interestingly. Yeah, from 2016 till now, I have been in remission.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's
Yeah,
really great.
thank you, thank you.
Hopefully it stays that way. Yeah, that's and so how often do you get checked? A year? Or is it just like
Oh,
once a year?
right now it's like somewhere around 7 to 8 months.
What's your like mindset going into those appointments?
Oh yeah, as I told you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're 1 year away from your cancer. It doesn't matter if you're going through cancer. It doesn't matter where you are. The fear never goes away during that time. You're very anxious. Till now, every single time when I go for these scans, I am hit. It's like a lot of anxiety. And interestingly, so I go through MRI scans. Okay, so MRI usually they put you in a tube,
Right.
and it's a bit claustrophobic. And for my scans, I'm in the tube for 1 hour at least 1 hour. Usually it's a little bit more.
Is that like
And
the big donut shaped thing?
yes,
It's like
so
very
the CT
circular.
scan is also a bit donut shaped, but it has more air to it, whereas the MRI is literally a small tube. You just go into that. Your whole body goes into that.
Gotcha.
So it's
Okay.
very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And I have been having MRI scans from the age of 30, obviously, right? So from my first cancer, I do that all the time. And I have been okay. Initially I was panicking a bit, but then I got over it. I got used to it. But then in the last couple of years, I think last year, suddenly I started panicking a lot of anxiety just getting to the tube. Uh, I think over time it gets to you, and so there is a lot of anxiety. And this year, when I went for my checkup a couple of months back, I went there. And the moment he put me in the tube, I started shouting, "Take me out! Take me out!" It took me out. And again, it happened a couple of times, and then I just walked out that day. I said, "I cannot do it." I walked out. It was an incomplete scan. And after that, my doctor actually is given me anti-anxiety medication just for getting into the tube. Just like 1 hour before that, I take it, and then I was a little better. And then I was able to finish my work. So it's interesting how it has shaped up. It could be just my age. Well, as moms usually tell, I told my mom said, "I think it's because you're getting old." Okay, fine. uh, so but whatever it is, as I said, like regardless of how far you are in your survivorship, it doesn't matter. Every scan, there is tons of anxiety. It's just that when you get anxious may vary. For me, right now, I think if I am doing at an interval of 6 to 7 months, the last 2 months I start thinking about it. Just before the scan, the 2 months,
Mm.
it's constantly in my brain. I'll be fine. I'll be doing everything in my life. I'll be happily going around, but it's constantly there at the back of your mind saying, "Oh, oh, I hope, like your fingers are always crossed. I hope it's okay. What will I do if it is not?" Things like that. So
Yeah.
that anxiety is there. And now I have this additional anxiety for some reason. Now it has caught up to me. So, yeah, I think if you ask any cancer patient, um, there would be some exceptions maybe, but if you ask anybody, this will be the answer. And there is a term for that. That's called scanxiety, we call it. And it's going to be there. Um, it doesn't matter how far you are.
Yeah, and that's like kind of the thing with people who are very strong. I think sometimes we feel like we have to be strong all the time, and we don't even like the
Mm-hmm.
people to see us in our like weaker states. But we can. It's okay, and we like no matter how used to we are to something, we're still affected by it. Like it's just like I told you with my vision days. There's when I have bad vision days, you would think I'd be used to it by now, but it always throws me for a loop, and yeah, it makes my anxiety go up or my depression go up, and it's frustrating, but you know, you deal with it. You're more equipped
Yeah.
to deal with it now because you're older, you're more mature, and you're just you're more understanding of what you're going through. You're full
Mm-hmm.
of knowledge. When you're young and you're going through it, like again, like you said, you think you're invincible, and you also have less information, less life experience. So it's you're not as equipped to battle whatever it is that's coming your way. And but yeah, even in you're getting older, you're done. You've battled cancer for a few decades now, and it doesn't matter. You still have you get in those tubes, and all of a sudden, or even just months previous, like you're just freaking out because you don't want to have to deal with this again. But
Yeah.
you'll deal with it like you've always dealt with it again. And and of course with something like cancer, you also feel like partially you may be on borrowed time, or one of these days it's going to catch up to you. Like you said, you're in a race,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that, but that's the thing, like I said, with the good days, sometimes we don't look at, like, you said 2014, that's 9 years. You don't look at 9 years clean. Sometimes we're so focused on, well, yeah, it's been 9 years, but there won't be a 10th or whatever. We always try to find a way to spin it in a negative direction, and that's instead of just going, holy shit, like I'm 9 years, so not sober, but I'm 9 years cured of cancer for now, and look at all the time that I've had to impact and help people, and let's just hope. And you made it through another year, so you're good for this year. Now let's go on to
Mm-hmm.
24, and hope to God that
Mm-hmm.
you're still clean for another year, and you can continue to keep fighting and make a difference.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, kind of getting down to the end here. I want you to promote your book again.
Yeah. So yeah, my book I released it just a couple of months back. It is called My Race Against Death, and it's basically all the lessons I have learned in my cancer journey. I've shared it as a story, my whole journey, but every chapter there is a lesson that I have in that chapter. There is one chapter where I dedicate to saying how you should not talk to a cancer patient, how to even talk to them, and I think it holds good for almost everything when you really think about it. But there is one key takeaway in my book. I have it in the cover of my book. It says, "I am not my disease."
Yeah,
So, and I think again that holds good for any disease, any disability, whatever we have. Don't let the disease define who you are, and don't let it dominate you. It could be one part of you. Yeah, it is there in its corner, but let that not define your life. So I think we should all live life to the fullest extent possible, despite whatever the disease is. So that's my key takeaway from my book is like I'm not my disease. So
yeah.
the book name is My Race Against Death.
Nah, it's a great title. I think a lot of things that come from people who go through struggles, we end up having like dark sense of humors, and there's just certain
Mm-hmm.
titles, like with my blurred opinion, and I'm making fun of my vision, but it was something
Mm.
that I didn't really think too much about. It just kind of popped out of my head, and it just works. It's a play on words, but it's also literal.
Yeah.
It's many
Mm-hmm.
different things, and but it there's some kind of sadness to it because your death against your race against death.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is that obvious elephant in the room that this could kill you, and you're kind of jokey about it, but you're also it's kind of serious at the same time, and
Yes.
but it's perfect. And it's kind of like I said, that's there's if you really kind of pay attention to people like us, you realize there's some sadness, there's some joke, there's some comedy to it, but it's all in
It,
there.
laughter is the best medicine after all.
For sure. Yeah. Because in
Yeah.
general, we're laughing and yet we both are going through real things. And,
Yeah.
but that's, again, that's the beauty. Because some
Mm-hmm.
people would look at our story from the outside and go, wow, you guys can laugh. It's like, yeah, because there's things that we're happy to be alive for. Both of us nearly, like I nearly died and you've come close with, you've been on the verge of just not knowing your outcome. And, um, you know, like I said, we're
Mm-hmm.
still standing. So it's like we have to find ways to smile because if we just sit around and frown all day long, we're never going to appreciate anything, and we're just going to be ungrateful and unhappy, and never really get to see what's going on and be able to enjoy life. So yeah,
Yeah.
and it's tiresome just being angry. It's tiresome being sad and stressed out. It just
And you know what? Tiresome is one thing. In fact, when somebody gets like when I see somebody who needs anger management, for example, somebody who's very angry, I say, yeah, so you are the person who is getting affected again, right?
yeah.
So if we are angry, if we are embarrassed, again, it's us who are getting affected by all those emotions. Like, so I think it's better to not go through that. Because at the end of the day, nobody else is affected around you. It's again you who is affected, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. But when when
Mm-hmm.
when you are doing what you're doing, like if you are angry all the time and sad, like you being married and everything like that affects your relationship. That affects your friends. That affects your pets. That affects your
That is
children.
true. That's true. That's true. Yes,
Yeah. So
that's
I
true.
mean, and you know, and that's kind of if there's any kind of deterrent from you, like anything that can kind of change your mindset on what you are doing to yourself is others that you care about.
Mm,
Sometimes we don't care about what we do to ourselves. We don't care that we're stressed out. We don't care that we're anxiety ridden. We just kind of go, oh, whatever. That's just me. I can take that. Look how much I've already endured. Who cares? I can just do more to myself because it's kind of like an alcoholic or whatever. Like you can just keep drinking. Who cares? But if you die, your kids are around. So like in the same token for you, like you can sit there and hate yourself or be sad all the time, but you have someone who's laying next to you and wants to see you happy and enjoys the real you. They don't want to see you unhappy, and you being unhappy makes them unhappy. And because you love them, like I said, it's one thing if you were alone, then yeah, sure, maybe it's more tolerable. But because you're affecting others around you, that is a problem, and maybe that is kind of the sobering aspect of it, where you realize that I'm screwing up other people. I need to get with it and realize that I am better than what I'm giving myself credit for, and it's time to stand up and fight again, even if I don't really want to.
mm-hmm. True.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I hope we can stay in touch because I really want to know how your health is, and any way I can support
Sure.
you, I'm all
Thank you
for.
for having me.
Yeah, I think you're an awesome person. I think you're very strong, and I'm so grateful that you've been able to push through. And I am rooting for you to hopefully stay cancer free. And um, like I said, you ever need
Thank
anything,
you.
please.
And I am rooting for you to have all good weekend days.
I appreciate that very much. And so if you ever need a friend or someone to talk to or anything, please just text me. I'll answer. Um,
Sure.
and yeah,
Thanks, Sanjay.
thank you for coming on. I'm very happy for you
Mm-hmm.
to come on. And yeah, I guess we'll end it here.
Done?
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead. You want to say something?
No, no, no. I'm just asking, are we done? Okay.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. Okay.